Okay, good morning. Today we're covering Algebra 2 Lesson 2.6, which is writing equations of lines. And we will be able to write linear equations using the point-slope form, and then we're going to convert them to the slope-intercept form, which you're more familiar with, I believe. And this video supports Algebra 2 IXL Lesson D8. You'll take notes on this, and then I'm extending the time within which you can turn this particular set of lesson notes in on time. You can turn them in by 11:59 p.m. this next Sunday, September 27. Please do it by Dropbox, but if for some reason you can't get into the Dropbox, then you may go ahead and send it to me by email. Okay, so let's look at our first example here. So we're going to write an equation of the line, first of all, in our old-fashioned slope-intercept form that has the given information. So this is the first problem here, A, and they give you a slope of -2, and they give you a y-intercept, which is the B, which equals 7. So I'm going to go ahead and do this problem on a separate sheet in my DocuCam. So we're going to go ahead and stop this share, and we're going to go over to my DocuCam and share that. And so here I've written the slope-intercept form of a linear equation. And here the slope is to be -2 and the B is 7. So, all we really need to do is plug that information in. So I'm going to rewrite the form of the equation up here, and we'll do a little color coding. So we know that we want M, and we want, and M is going to equal, in this case, -2, and then we're going to multiply that times, let's just do this way, times x plus, and then your B is 7. So in this case, what is the slope? Y is going to equal -2 times x plus 7. And now you have your slope-intercept equation that you're used to seeing. Okay. All right, and so I'm going to go back, and we're going to look at the lesson outline again. Whoops, wrong one. Look at the lesson outline. So where did we go here? Here we go, PowerPoint. There we are. So B here, we've got an example of a graph. Now the graph, if you'll notice, it has a y-intercept. This line crosses the y-axis where x is 0 and y is 2. So your B is 2. So for B, problem B, your B is 2. And then the slope, if we were to go from that point on the slope-intercept down here to the x-intercept, we would be going down 1, 2, and over 1. So down 2 and over 1. Remember, y is always the numerator in your slope. So your your slope is going to be -2 and over 1, or -2 over 1. Okay, so let's look at that. And so we're going to go back to our DocuCam again. And so I've written the results from the graph in B. And so remember that it looked like this. And this was, of course, b was -2, and I'm sorry, b was +2, and the slope was -2/1. So, putting that into our equation, y equals m times x plus b. The slope we said was -2/1. And typically speaking, you would only show it as -2 in the equation, but when you're trying to think of rise over run, you may want to leave it that way, at least temporarily. And x plus, and then b is 2. Sign blue. Okay. So that's the way it would look if you were trying to remember rise over run, but the actual correct simplified form is y equals -2 times x plus 2. Okay. All right. So that's how we would cover the slope-intercept form. All right, so now what I'm going to do, we're going to go back to the outline, and we're going to look at the next slide here. So the next slide, we have a couple of examples. So we're going to write the equation of the line in slope-intercept form that has the given point and slope. So this has a point and slope. This is a little different. So we're going to use the slope well, when we have a point and we have slope, we have to start out with a point-slope form. So we're going to start out in point-slope form. And then convert to slope-intercept form. Okay. And the problem is, again, first one is first one is a point of -3, 4, and a slope of 2 or 3. Okay. And let's see, point slope, I'm going to write over in a moment so you'll see this. And let's put B over here. Okay. So we're going to stop the share. We're going to go back to my DocuCam. All right, so I've written the two examples, and we're going to start out in point slope form. And point slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And you have to start out with point slope form because you have a point. So the point here is going to become your x1 and your y1. It's going to be this and this. But you want to convert to slope-intercept form, which, if you remember, is y equals m times x plus b. Right? That's what they want. So we'll go ahead and plug these values into this equation. So y minus, now the negative sign comes from the equation, and my y1 is 4. And that equals my slope. My slope is 2/3. So 2/3 times x minus, negative sign comes along, and then we have -3. That's your x1. Okay. So now we'll go ahead and distribute. So I have y minus 4 equals, now this is distribution here, 2/3 times 1x is 2/3 x. 2/3. Oh, and we have a negative times a negative equals a positive. So we want to do that actually first. We want to change this basically to a positive. Okay. So y minus 4 equals 2/3 times x plus 3 now. Okay. So then let's go ahead and do the distribution. So y minus 4 equals 2/3 x, or 2/3 times x, and then 2/3 times 3. Let's see here. 2 times 3 is 6/3. So plus 6/3. Now we're going to have to simplify that. So y minus 4 equals 2/3 x. Now 6 divided by 3 is 2. So 2/3 x, whoops, plus 2. Y minus 4 equals 2/3 x plus 2. Now this is still not where we want it. We want to get it into slope-intercept form. Okay? So we're going to have to simplify by adding 4 to both sides. Because we've subtracted it over here, we have to add it. It eliminates it, so y is going to equal 2/3 x, and then 2 plus 4 is 6. And now it's in slope-intercept form. So we started out with the point slope form. We plugged in the values, the point. So this is the x1, this is the y1, the slope. We simplified, we distributed, and then we added the 4 to both sides, and we got our result. Okay. So we'll do the same thing with this one. It also, B also has a point and slope. So we're going to again use the form. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And so this is 2 is going to be our x1, 3 is going to be our y1, and of course this is our slope. So we're going to write y minus, and our y1 is 3, equals, our slope m is negative 1/2, times x minus, and then our x1 is 2. Okay. So we distribute. So we want to distribute let's just use the pencil here. A negative 1 times x is going to be negative 1/2 times x is going to be negative 1/2 x. Negative 1/2 times negative 2, well, it's going to be negative, it's going to be negative times negative is a positive. So we'll get into that. Let's rewrite this. Y minus 3 equals, and this is going to be negative 1/2 x minus, now negative times a negative we said was positive, so plus 2 over 2, because 2 times 1 is 2, and then 2 times 1 is 2, so we got 2 over 2. Simplify it. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so y minus 3 equals negative 1/2 x plus 1. Now we just want to get into slope-intercept form like we did over here. So we need to add 3 to both sides. And so we're going to have the negative 3 cancel, and y is going to equal negative 1/2 x plus 4. So again, this is good form, slope-intercept form. Okay, all right. So that's the whole thing. And so we'll go ahead and move on. Okay, so let's go back to our PowerPoint presentation. And so let's go on to our next set of examples. So example 3. All right, so example 3, we're going to write the equation in slope-intercept form given 2 points. So now we have 2 sets of points. It seems a little more challenging, right? So with something like this, what we end up having to do is we end up having to use the slope formula to figure out what the slope is first. So we're going to find the slope first. I'm just going to write this down. So this is example 3. We're going to write the equation ultimately in slope-intercept form. And given 2 points. All right, so I've got the first point, A, and that point is 1, 5, and this is in A, that is. So that's the first set. And the second set is 4, 2. And then for B, I have 3, 0, and -3, 1. All right. So let's go back and stop the share and go over to my DocuCam. Here's the problem. And so we're going to start out by finding the slope. So the slope formula is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And in this case, since we have 2 points and there are x, y coordinates in each point, I'm going to name the first 2 points x1, y1 and the second 2 x2, y2. And so then I'm going to go ahead and plug these values in. So m equals y2 is 2 minus my y1, which is 5, divided by x2. x2 is 4, minus x1, which is x1 is 1. Okay, so simplifying, 2 minus 5, that leaves us with a -3. And 4 minus 1 is 3. So that simplifies to a slope of -1 over 1. Or -1. Okay. All right. So now that we've got that, we have that and we have a point, we're going to go ahead and, that's the slope. We're going to go ahead and put this into the point slope form of the equation of the line. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And in this case, let's see, the y1 is 5. So y minus 5 equals the slope, which we just found out is -1. -1 times x minus, and then x1 here is 1. So let's distribute first. It looks like we have to do that first. So y minus 5 equals, distribute -1 to the x and to the -1. So -1 times x is -1x. And -1 times -1 is +1. Now we're just going to add 5 to both sides to get to our slope-intercept form. -5 and 5 cancel and get y equals negative 1x plus 6. And so now we are in slope-intercept form. Okay. All right. One more to go. So let's just go ahead and do that. So we're going to use the same slope formula. M equals, in this case, this is going to be our x1, y, and this is going to be our y1. 3 is x1, 0 is y1. And then over here, negative 3 is x2, and 1 is y2. All right, so let's see here. Y2 is 1, so we've got 1 minus y1, which is 0, over x2, which is negative 3, minus our x1, which is 3. Okay, so with something like this, let's just see, make sure we got this right. So the x2 is negative 3. Yeah. All right, so this ends up simplifying to m equals 1 over, what is negative 3 minus 3? Well, that's negative 6. Okay? So we end up with a slope of negative 1 over 6. And then we just fill in again the point slope form. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And so in this case, we're going to use, for my y1, we're going to use 0. So y minus 0 equals, and then our slope we said was negative 1 over 6 times our x minus, and our x1 is 3. Okay, so here we have y minus 0, and so y minus 0 is just y. So this is going to settle into the slope-intercept really fast. Over here, again, we multiply the negative 1/6 to the x and to the negative 3, distributing. So negative 1/6x, and then this is a negative times a negative, so it becomes positive. And then I've got the numerator, let's see, 3 times 1 is 3 over 6, okay? And that simplifies, 3 over 6 can simplify to 1/2, so you get y equals negative 1 over 6x plus 1/2. And you're done. Okay. So that's how we write the equation in slope-intercept form when we have 2 points. We've got to find the slope first, then we've got to go ahead and plug the point that the first x1, y1 point into the equation for point slope form, and then use the slope, simplify, and get the slope-intercept. All right, so that's it. We covered everything for this particular lesson. Let me just go back here to our material here. And what I'm going to do, by the way, just so you know, I'm going to go ahead and start to award people extra credit points if you get above an 80, get to 85% or above. So how would that work? Actually, I think I'll just do it this way. I'll do it very simply. Let me go over to my document can one more time. So if you get a score of 85, let's use 80. Any score above 85, you will, above 80, well, so any score above, let's try this again. Any score above 80, you will get an extra point for each point above 80. So in other words, if you have an 81, you get a score of 82. Okay, that's how I'm going to award extra credit. All right. Okay, so that's it. So we're going to stop the share and have a wonderful day.